Hey, what's going on, good people? This is Timothy Moore coming to you with another episode of The Male Perspective. This is where we talk about all things entrepreneurship, spirituality, and relationships. Tonight is episode 11, and we got a couple gentlemen that are going to come on board, be part of the platform as we talk about tonight's topic, which is a vision for healing. A vision for healing. Vision of a healed man. What does it look like? You ever seen what a healed man looks like? You ever seen what a healed man walks like? Have you ever seen a healed man in a relationship? Have you ever seen a healed man on the job, kicking it outside where he is? So tonight we're going to be talking about what our vision is as men for our healing journey. So I'm excited about tonight's guest, and I'm gonna bring on a couple first-time people to the platform. And the first person I'm gonna bring on is Mr. Vladimir Adonis.
All right, man. Thank you very much for having me on, Timothy. I really appreciate it. Now, the reason why I chose this song, this theme song, is Essentialist by Nico. And the idea is, am I wrong? Am I wrong for basically thinking outside of the box? Am I wrong for kind of just envisioning the things that I don't see? And, for me, it all starts with some type of a vision, right? There are a lot of things that I want to accomplish that other people want to accomplish, but we don't necessarily, see it. So it starts off with just a vision. And once you have that vision, I think a lot can be possible from that point. So that's why I chose this theme song as, am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. There's a lot that I can do. There's a lot that you can do as well.
I like that. Am I? And it's good because sometimes you do got to ask yourself that, because you're so outside of the box. You're so outside of the norm. And I know a lot of people can relate to that, just being outside the box. And so you got to step back like, am I wrong with this? No, I ain't wrong. Keep on moving. Right.
Definitely.
Awesome, man. Next up is an individual who's no stranger to the Omaha platform. We have Mr. T. Haynes. All right, brother, bring your theme song. What you got?
I know too much about it, and there's nothing to weigh me down. Yeah. Just as sure as I.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't catch the hook. Now, what's the name of that?
That is called I Know Too Much About Him by Smokey Norfolk.
Okay.
And that song is talking about knowing too much about God through your experience for anybody to ever cast any type of doubt or tell you anything differently.
Oh.
And the reason why I chose that song is because I know unequivocally, unapologetically, without a shadow of a doubt, that God is real because of what he's done in my life and where he has brought me from. And I know that if he can do it for me, he can do it for anybody.
Right. Okay. There it is.
Cool.
Boom. You heard it from the man himself. That's that solid spiritual grounding. I'm loving that, bro. I'm loving that. So this is a platform for those who are still trying to get acclimated, but we want to create a safe space for men. I feel like here, especially like Black men, Black American men, Black men all over the world, we have not created that safe place for us to have open dialogue, some open out in front of the world dialogue, where we can actually heal and talk about the real deal on some stuff. And so I feel like, and this isn't a competition, but women have outlets
Right.
a lot more than we do. We tend to keep stuff in. It affects our mental health. It affects our work. It affects how we treat our family. It affects our drive, our dreams, because we hold everything in. everything.
Yeah.
The only emotion we show is anger.
Anger. Yeah.
When we mad, oh yeah,
You know.
we're gonna show you that.
Yeah.
That's because we've been socialized to believe that we can be angry and it's acceptable. And so we want to change that, creating this platform, a safe place for men to be big. And I say big as in to build, inspire, and to grow.
Yeah.
And tonight, we're talking about a vision of a healed man.
Amen.
Vision of a healed man. And so I'm going to start. Let's just talk about, so the platform, we always talk about entrepreneurship, spirituality, and relationships. Those are the big three. So, Terrence.
Yes, sir.
What does, in your eyes, how do you see yourself best version in terms of a business owner? What does that look like? If you were completely healed, and not assuming that you're not, but we just being real, we got stuff we're working on.
Right.
In your best place, what would that look like to you in business? How do you see yourself?
It's funny because I'm the type of person that always visualizes the best case scenario and what it should look like. So it's really funny that you asked, well, what do I think that would look like? Because I've actually envisioned that, and I've actually been that. In business, it's doing business above table, always. Being honest, always. Giving 150% to your customer, and that's internal and external. Okay, because a lot of time we forget we have internal customers, our employees or our fellow coworkers. We actually service them throughout the day as well. So that service of excellence, or excellence, being passionate,
Right.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't like going into Walmart and the greeter says nothing. Okay. It's like, well, you're a greeter. You're supposed to talk to me. That's what you actually get paid to do. So if you don't like people, that's not the job for you. That's not the business you should have, or, whatever. So make sure it's something that you are passionate about, that you can actually be excited about and get up every day and feel good about it.
Right. Appreciate it. Love it. All right. Vladimir, that same question to you. What do you look like in your best version as a business owner?
The best version as a business owner is, I think it starts off with just embracing the process. To be honest with you, that's been one of my, my struggles from the time that I decided to launch 100% and leave my employer, is pretty much just embracing, the process. The process will come with some trials and some, tribulations, and kind of just, embracing that and just knowing that that's just part of the journey. So that's part of it. So I have to kind of just get a lot more comfortable and just kind of just embrace, the process, embrace the process now, embrace the process that's going to kind of just happen in the future. And the success version of that, the way that the success version of that looks like for me, is being able to kind of just say that I was able to build something that I can pass on to the individuals that are going to kind of just, come after me, and being able to kind of just, document the process. I have little ones, I have, kids, and, the kids, and I see kids these days, I'm sure people said the same things about me as well, is that, sometimes, we're privileged, per se, and we look at things and we say, oh, okay, look how simple this was. Well, I want to be able to kind of just document the process and be able to tell people, my kids and people behind me, that hard work does indeed pay off, and it wasn't simple. And the reason why I want to be able to document that and show that to them, so that way, whatever it is that I build later down the line, they don't necessarily take it for granted. I mean, Terrence talked about, customer service at Walmart, for example. Sometimes we just kind of just take those things for granted. There's a lot of individuals that's probably fighting to try and get that same job, but yet that one individual has that job, but they take it for granted. So what success looks like for me is that I don't take anything for granted, you know, as I am learning and growing, and that the individuals that come behind me don't take it for granted as well, because it's definitely, it's not easy. It hasn't been easy. And I want to always remember that. And I want those that are coming behind me to remember that as well.
Right. That's good. That's good.
Good
You
stuff.
said something. I got one more person coming in, Mr. King Kyle. And on your journey, you mentioned it, and it just kind of triggered a thought. Being that best version of you, you said it hasn't been easy to embrace the process. What part of the entrepreneurial process for you brought you the most pain?
You know, to me, it's launching marketing campaigns that I thought should have been a home run and hasn't been a home run. So, okay, I spend, you know, X dollar amount, and I'm thinking that X dollar amount is going to yield me a return on investment within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of that happening. Well, all of a sudden, okay, wait a second, I'm short $1,000 and I didn't get this return on investment in the time frame in which I was going to get it. I'm like, oh, wait a second, I thought I was going to get this return on investment. Well, there's a little bit more that you have to do. There's a little bit nurturing that you have to do in terms of the people that are part of that process. And perhaps you'll see that return on investment, but you'll see it maybe a couple of weeks down the line, or maybe a couple of months down the line, so on and so forth. So that expectation of, okay, I should have gotten a return on investment a lot sooner than later type of thing. And that's just not how it always works.
Shoot, brother, I sign off. Man, you are. I was like, I done felt like crying the money I done put in, but it's kind of funny though. Just when I think it's all over, all of a sudden I start getting those trickles. And then even just the knowledge that I've gained just from being in the game. That's priceless. That's priceless. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna bring on Mr. Kyle Harmon.
What's going on, man? Sorry, I'm on CP time, y'all.
Look here, you showed up.
Yes, sir.
Some brothers didn't make it.
True. Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah. You know, it's all good. Just introduce yourself to the folks. Who are you? What you do? Where you from? Where you going? Where you been?
That's a lot. No. Well, again, as he said, King Kyle Harmon. King is an acronym. It means keeping it new and good, meaning my art that I produce. It's not just some highfalutin thing I just call myself because I think I'm all that, even though I do in a way, you know what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing. But
no, you ain't.
Shut up, Tim. So anyway, I'm a jack of all trades in the entertainment industry mostly. I mean, I've been in corporate America, but over the past 15 years, I dedicated everything to breaking into the industry when I thought I had an understanding of the industry. 10 years of that, I thought I knew everything. And by the end of that 10 years, going into the 5 of the last 15, I learned everything the hard way, like you guys were talking about a moment ago. I took for granted because I had some attributes. I was just going to be a shoe-in to make it. And the good thing about that, not to focus too much on the bad part of it, is that's how I became a jack of all trades. All I wanted to do was sing and write lyrics and dance. That's all I ever wanted to do for a living, ever since I knew I was a human being. But stumbling so many times, I fell into other things that helped me know I could do so much more, such as acting, producing, directing, being a playwright. I went back to school and started to learn how to produce and direct and do the stuff on the back end, because if you only know what's going on in front of the camera as an artist, a lot of times a lot of Black artists get crippled by that, because only thing they know is what they know. You need to know everybody's job. Even if you can't do it, you still need to know at least the definition of what everybody does. And that's in anything, even in corporate America. Mm-hmm. If you understand what your boss has to do all the way down to the custodian, like the gentleman was speaking about earlier, you don't take anything for granted. You learn and you build from that. And so as I was falling up the ladder, I kept feeling I was going backwards. I was going up because I was learning to do so many other things. Right. And so that led me to being able to do a whole bunch of other stuff, do my own podcast a couple years ago, Tim knows about. being even a part of the community, doing stuff community-wise, even though I was waiting to get rich and famous before I would be a part of the community, that's not how it works in real life if you really want to make a change.
Yeah.
So I started to learn how to be a voice for certain other people in minority sectors, not just color-wise, but all different types of voices that weren't being heard by falling and tripping over my own feet a lot of times. So, but that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, appreciate it. So I don't know, you touched a little bit on it, but they shared, what do you look like in your best version as a business owner? What does that vision look like in your best state?
To me or to other people?
Well, to you, my brother. No one cares what anybody else thinks. What do you see?
Oh no, I definitely don't care what other people think. I think the best version of myself is what I've seen is just picking myself up, dusting myself off when I do fall, and just continuing on to be the best version of me and in a professional way. I.e., if when I was in the studio, and there's a story I had really shared with a lot of people, one of my producer's buddies was just like, "Oh my God, I don't think you can sing." I was like, "What?" Like, people been telling me I can sing since I was 4. What you mean I can't sing? Right. And he was like, "You keep going flat, you keep going sharp, you're not on key." And what that taught me was, instead of everybody was laughing, I could have got really personal about it, and it did hurt my feelings very much so. And this was a long time ago. I was like my late teens. What I did was that was an epiphany, or not an epiphany, that was like the segue for me to learn how to do what it is I wanted to do. Sometimes we don't learn our business, like I was saying before. So for me, it was like, instead of taking things personal, I took it professional and said, well, let me hear from another professional standpoint. What am I doing wrong when I'm in the studio? What am I doing wrong when I'm trying to produce music? And I went and talked to other people, and instead of taking it personal and just have my feelings hurt, I went and learned something from it. And they were like, yeah, you could do this better. You know, there's other producers in the studio. You don't just go in and sing. You have vocal producers. You have instrumental producers. You have it's a whole bunch of things. And, you know, I didn't know anything about music production. I just thought people who had talent showed up and became somebody. So at the end of the day, me being my best version of me is not letting the bad times dictate all times. You know, it's gonna be, that's
good.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's really good.
And that's exactly as I was listening to you, and that's kind of the next question. And I'm gonna have that for you, Vladimir. Man, that just sounds so dope. Man, I'm like, man, I wish I don't. But man, my name is Vladimir. But just the fact that you can rebound from criticism and feedback, because that's really powerful. The best version of you, what you see is, no matter what kind of verbal adversity, what people say, you can take it and grow from it. That's huge. That's huge. Question for you, Vladimir. What has been the role of pain in your life?
The role of pain?
Yes.
What has been the role of pain, in my life? I would say, there's been a couple of things that's been the role of pain, in my life. Part of it was, my father, to be honest with you, in that, there were some things that, happened with him that I didn't necessarily, agree with, per se, based on some of the ways that he was, interacting with some other individuals in my family. And that, it caused some issues in our relationship. So, yes, him and I, we had, an ideal, relationship at some point. But at some point, based on some of the things that, that had happened with him and some other individuals in my life, per se, I allowed that to kind of just hang on, that kind of just, took a toll on me, and that kind of affected and impacted our relationship, to be honest with you. And then at some point I had to go back into myself and just say, hey, these are some of the things, yes, these are some of the things that happened with him and other individuals that I kind of just, care for and love, type of stuff. But what can I do to kind of just, amend things, with him per se? Sometimes we can't always control other people, action per se. I have to, continuously, learn and remind myself of that. People are going to do whatever it is that they're going to do, per se. I mean, so long as it's not something that's, completely detrimental and that completely harms people in a very, very, very negative way, I had to learn to kind of just say, okay, this is something that I'm not 100% happy with. However, it shouldn't 100% affect, my relationship or our relationship, per se. So I guess, forgiving and kind of just, mending that type of a relationship has been a struggle for me, per se. And that's something that I had to kind of just, overcome, because if I didn't, then it just kind of just causes a ripple effect, per se.
Right. So to kind of take that, so what would you see then a growth area that situation produced in you? What would be the major growth area?
I mean, I would say the major growth area is seeing it from that person's, perspective, per se, and saying, okay, hey, you had this issue going on with this family member that I really do care and love. What happened? This is that person's side of the story. And sometimes we kind of just take one side of the story per se and don't even give the other individual the benefit of the doubt, to be honest with you. So I think it's about, hey, how can we give that person the benefit of the doubt and just understand, okay, hey, from your perspective, what happened? Why did this take place? So on and so forth, as opposed to just saying, hey, you know what, this is what happened. Okay, I'm gonna just completely cut this person off.
Right.
What is their perspective? And maybe they can kind of just give you their angle and their side of the story. And in the perfect position, in the perfect world, right? If you can kind of just be the one to kind of just mend the relationship, right? That would be, I think that would be like the ideal, situation at the end of the day. But sometimes you can't always do that. But at least, learn and hear the other person's side of the story.
So what you saying? You can't just cut people off?
Nah.
Just slice them. Just done. I'm done with you. No. I mean, that's good. I mean, it's so easy to do that, and it feels good, but it definitely comes back and bites you later on after you start cutting a lot of people off and you start finding out, you know what? You're kind of alone here.
Yeah.
Definitely. Gotta learn how to reconcile and rebuild relationships because folks gonna get on your nerves.
Yep.
You gotta have that skill set. Like every time somebody make me mad, I'm gonna just cut them off, and you run around here and have nobody to build with. So.
I know. Yeah. That can be really tough. Yep.
Brother T, what you got? What has been the role of pain for you in your life?
Oh man. How long is this show?
I know, right?
Because we're going down memory lane.
But this is gonna be part of that process for tomorrow too, though.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest with you, I would say the two biggest catalysts for pain in my life has been childhood trauma and divorce as an adult. Mm-hmm. Those have probably been the two biggest catalysts for pain for me.
Right. And so what was what was the role of that pain? What did it end up doing in your life?
It held me captive as a prisoner for probably, let's see. I just turned that old.
Okay.
So, right. My future wife might be watching. You know what I'm saying? So
right. So you got to be younger.
Yeah, I got to be younger. No, I just turned 51. Okay. And so I would say it probably held me captive for at least 40 of those years. About 40 of those years. Wow. And what's funny is we run into people who are captive all the time. and they're laughing and they're lively and they're vibrant and they're functioning, and they're in prison.
Wow.
And we have no idea.
Right.
You know, and so yeah, it kept me captive. It did not allow me to it didn't allow me to have a lot of trust. It caused me to not really know what love was. And so therefore looking to cling on to something that seemed like love a lot. So yeah, it'll mess you up. It'll take you right down the alley and beat you all upside your head.
No, absolutely. Yeah. The one thing that I found with pain, it definitely produces a lot of energy.
Oh, absolutely.
Life. And what for me, I finally figured out how to take that energy, and instead of destroying everything around me, take that same energy and use it to empower me to create. And it took a long time. Like I heard about that you could do that. Man, I heard it and I was like, man, I wish I could take this pain and do something different with it. But it definitely takes a transformation of the mind, because you have to decide that you don't want to just tear stuff up. That's a big decision. To decide that you don't want to rip everybody's head off because you hurting. But when I did figure that out, man, that unlocked a whole bunch of stuff. It was like, you know, just like working out in the gym, no pain, no gain.
Right.
You know, we can understand that from a weight and from a workout standpoint, but that heart pain, that feeling pain, we don't do so well as men with that right there. And we watching these women out here, they getting slaughtered out here, but they're able, you know, to keep it moving, to keep it moving, to keep it moving. And, you know, it's a powerful thing.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, well, you know, it's funny because I was just telling a friend of mine last night, we were talking about the pains and, you know, we're kind of specifically talking, you know, amongst African-American men here, you know, so we're talking about African-American men's pain.
Right.
The pain of men and women of African-American heritage or any African background,
right,
it's equal, but it's different. The thing about our pain is the way I explained it to her is we walk into a room and you get noticed because you're a woman. Yep, you're black, but you're a woman, so you get noticed. Now, you know, that could go to, you know, a whole bunch of other subjects, objectifying and all that kind of stuff. Irregardless, because you're a woman, you get noticed.
You know, it's because of gender.
It is kind of like that experiment that they do with parrots, where they'll segregate a parrot, and if that parrot does not have any type of interaction, it will begin to lose its mind. It will begin to tear at itself and pluck its feathers out, and eventually it will just fall over and die. Black men don't have any interaction at different points in their lives. See, you know, people talking to you is not necessarily interaction. You can talk to somebody and care nothing about them. You're not talking to them. You're talking to what you can get from them. And so for us, a lot of times it's a matter of having no value, no self-value, no significance whatsoever in any way, shape, or form, even gender-wise. And that's a hard thing. And it's something that you can't explain. And it's also something that's invisible because they see you in the room. So you just assume you're being acknowledged when in fact you have no interaction with the rest of the world. You've been completely segregated. So
that feeling of being invisible when you walk into places.
Absolutely invisible. I don't even have to acknowledge you. I don't. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a rough thing.
Man.
And it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
What you got, Vladimir? Look like you
No, I was just kind of just nodding my head. I lost my connection for a very short period, but I was just kind of just nodding my head and kind of just in agreement. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So let's talk about this. What men have you seen that you would emulate? And I ask you that, Vladimir. What men, whether on TV, in personal life, and let's start with personal. Are there any men in your personal circle, personal world that you can say, you know what, I can emulate him?
Yeah, I mean, so essentially for me, it's it's my uncle. And the reason why my uncle is a migrant individual who migrated from Haiti, made it here to the States and just has built a lot for himself. This is an individual that had a ninth grade education, didn't go beyond having a ninth grade education. But the things that I've seen that this individual has been able to build, because he didn't necessarily, live inside of a box or live inside of a barrier, for to say, that's someone that I would like to, emulate. This person has created a legacy, in my opinion, and the legacy is going to be passed on to individuals that come, after him. When he first came here, to the States, again, he had a ninth grade education, could not afford to go to school because he had to go and work to take care of the individuals that were that he was responsible for immediately in the home that he was living in, and he was responsible for taking care of individuals back home in Haiti. So this individual started off working, 3 to 4 jobs, and just pretty much did that for a certain period of time until he can start to kind of just own his own assets, own his own job, started his own company, and has just continuously built it, going forward. And he's been able to kind of just pass that on to other individuals. So just that work ethic and just that, commitment to say, the process, and commitment to, the individuals, the love and care for the individuals that are, around him, and him just kind of just not letting the people down. I know that was one of the things he said when he first came to the States, is that, listen, man, I got people that is dependent on me. And these guys came here in the States on a very small canoe. I mean, from a very small canoe. A lot of people didn't make it. He was like, you know what? I made it here to the States. I'm going to make something of myself, and I'm not going to disappoint the individuals that are coming, that are coming after me, type of stuff. So that's the individual that I want to emulate and model.
Wow, that's good. So it sounds like that. I mean, having somebody depend on you, have you seen a difference between that in your life, having people depend on you versus not? Were you different?
It's the drive is not the same, to be honest with you. So if I compare, my drive and my uncle's drive, it's not the same. My uncle had people in Haiti that, like, these people literally could not eat if he didn't do what he needed to do. Obviously here in the States, in all actuality, I may say that if I don't have things going on, my kids can't eat, but they really can, to be honest with you, because there's
programs,
there's programs, there's all types of stuff, and I'm realizing that now, and I realized that, hey, if I had the same pressures, maybe I would have accomplished a little bit more, to be honest with you. But the pressures are not the same. Like, my kids, at the end of the day, yes, they can indeed eat. There's so many different options, and if I decided to, fall off the face of the earth and stop doing stuff as of today, there's so many contingency plans for them. Wow. In his case, there weren't really any contingency plans. He had people, listen, if you don't send me something, I might die in the next couple of days, type of stuff. Jeez. So the realization and the realities were completely different.
Wow, that's powerful, bro. Man, I want to emulate him too. Can I meet him?
Yeah.
All right, T, what you got? What men have you seen that you emulate besides me?
Well, see, now you gave it away. I was gonna say Tim, but to be honest with you, my nephew, who is he's like 7 years younger than me. But he is just such a cool individual. Wow. He is a father of 2, a husband. He's an electrician by trade. And he is just such a level person. Now, mind you, he's been through the same traumas that a lot of us have been through. But he is just such a he's such a level person. I remember having a conversation with him one day, and he was like, I've never had to spank my daughters. And I was like, really? That's just unheard of. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? And it intrigued me because I'm just like, how? I've been a father for a long time. How did you accomplish that?
Wow.
But I truly believe that it's just his level-headedness, his spirit. He's a very passionate person, but he's very quiet about it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's somebody that I personally know. Somebody that I don't know would be Ossie Davis.
Who is that?
Now you should be ashamed of yourself, Tim, for not knowing who Ossie Davis is.
The name sounds familiar, but I can't.
He was married to Ruby Dee. He was an actor and a singer, a stage actor and a film actor. They were actually in Do the Right Thing. Okay. So, but I mean, trust me, that's not their most famous movie, but they were in that movie. I figured you would know them from there.
Yeah.
But Ossie Davis, to me, I think that he was an awesome person, not because I know so much about him, but because of watching his wife. Our wives are truly a reflection of us. Where we are in our lives, how we are in our lives, and she just always seemed at ease by him and at peace. And so, to me, that speaks of his character, that his wife was that comfortable. I can honestly say I wasn't able to accomplish that. You know what I'm saying? That's why. Obviously, part of the reason why I'm divorced. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because there was something that brought dis-ease and discomfort, at some level. But yeah, Ossie Davis.
Man, that gave me chills, bro. Just I mean, the way you described that, like I felt that I could see that, and just even you saying that, we're talking about a vision for a healed man.
Yeah,
you really have to be whole as a man.
Yes.
To be able to set your partner up, your wife, your spouse, in such a way where she's just chill, like she's comfortable, like she don't have to raise her voice, she ain't fretting, she ain't sweating, she ain't annoyed, she ain't snapping on the kids. You can come home and she ain't snapping on you. Right. Like she's just like,
Well, they say a lot that women are supposed to be our peace, which I do believe that, because I can honestly say there is a level of comfort that a woman brings you, and there is a level of softness. When you're not around a woman for a long time, you get you know what I'm saying? But I think that we're supposed to do that as well. We are supposed to be that peace that she has, that covering. That's what we are. We are a covering, and a covering does bring you comfort. Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have that comfy robe or that comfy blanket or pajamas. That's comforting. That's a covering. That's comforting. That's what we're supposed to be.
Wow. That man, shoot, drop the mic. So that brings us in this. That's a vision. Right?
I definitely want to be that. I definitely want to be that, man.
So Vladimir, I'm not sure if you're married or single, but what is the best version of you look like in a relationship?
If you were to ask my wife, is getting in the kitchen, to be honest with you, that's what my wife would say, right? My wife would be like, geez, can you cook something, anything, something. But I guess, the best version of me, what the best version of me would look like in a relationship is to be able to say that, hey,
And
hey, and it's not all about me. Wife has shifted me the process of leaving a comfortable and that that comfortable job in the long term. This opportunity here is going to do long term. And to me, my vision is in that process enough to be, hey, in the years, going to allow us to build X, Y, and Z. And kind of just do that and that. So I want to be able to just say, I say to her to say, hey, you know what, we made it. We took this chance. It wasn't just me. It's it's an us thing, right? This chance, and based on us kind of just taking this chance, we made it. So that's one of the things I would say. The best version of me, look like in a relationship.
Okay. Now, did everyone catch that, or did he break up? I don't know if that was just me on my end.
Yeah, he was a little broken up.
All right, so you're gonna have to repeat that. Now you have to be concise.
No problem. All right, I'll repeat that. So the best version of me, what the best version of me would look like, according to my wife would say, hey, get in the kitchen and cook. That's what my wife would say. All right.
What would you say?
I'm sorry. Well, the other versions, that is what I would say. And then what I would say is that at the beginning of my entrepreneurship, journey, I mapped out a plan for my wife and say, hey, in 5 years, this is what I want us to be able to accomplish. And these are some of the objectives and these are some of the goals we will be able to accomplish, together. Now, my wife is not an entrepreneur, but she's on this journey with me. She's supporting me emotionally. She's giving me so much support, to be honest with you. And I want to be able to say a couple of years from now, hey, we made it. We set out to accomplish this goal, together. And we'll be able to kind of just, accomplish this goal because of the trust and the faith that she's put, in me. So that's my real concise version of it.
So let me make sure I hear you right. So your best version of you in a relationship is for you to have set goals for the both of you and your wife and accomplish them.
Well, the goals have already been set. So,
Okay,
right? So the goals have already been set. But I accomplished them. I accomplished them because, this individual, my wife, trusting me, right? She trusts me enough to say, okay, yes, I trust that she can go down this path. You can leave this very secure job. And, based on you kind of just leaving this very secure job, you'll be able to kind of just we'll be able to accomplish the goals of the family by X number of times. So I want to be able to say that because to me, that's a huge factor. I'm not on this road alone. I'm not on this path by myself. She's a huge part of my success or my failure, to be honest with you. So, and she's been very, 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 supportive. So I want to be able to, look back and say, hey, you know what, we accomplished this goal.
Okay. Now, do you have anything personal that only involves how you see yourself in a relationship?
Anything personal that only
like seeing yourself outside of what she would like, but more like how would you like to be?
How would I like to be if I were to kind of just look at myself?
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's perspective. To be honest with you, it's kind of just having if I say perspective, it still goes back to the other individual, right? Seeing it from that other individual's perspective. So how would I see it for myself?
Yeah. Like, what would you like to be for her?
What would I like to be for her other than, saying that? I don't know, man. I don't know why I'm struggling with this question.
I mean, do y'all get it? Because, and see, that's the thing. And that's that whole, like, baby, at my best version, this is what I would like to be for you. I'd like to be able to cook you dinner every night. I would like to be able to be the most compassionate man you'd ever experience. Like, what do you see that you think would represent you at your best version in a relationship with her? What do you see yourself?
What do I see myself as? Well, I guess just doing more of the stuff that that she probably likes, like cooking and that type of stuff. So that would probably be the best version of it, is me kind of just saying, hey, you know what, wife, I got you. This next week, I'm gonna go ahead and cook and prepare meals. And you don't necessarily, have to do that. So that's essentially a skill set that I could learn, right? Because I have the ability to learn things and do things. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a way that I can kind of just, pay it forward and kind of just, give back to.
So I'm gonna send her this recording and I let her know.
Oh, wow.
That, thinking about her, you got her.
I got her.
You got her. Best version. You look here. 30-second clip. Oh, baby. All right, Kyle, what you got, man? What's the best version of you look like in a relationship? The non-ratchet Kyle. What do you look like?
I got to be the ratchet one.
I didn't say you was ratchet. I just said the best version.
Implication of ratchetity, my brother. But it's okay. It's okay. I'll get you.
No, for real. What's the best version in a relationship? What that look like?
Being my grandfather. Being my grandfather, if I could be him, what he was,
really?
Grandmother.
Break that down.
My grandfather was like this soft-spoken, like almost majestic type figure for the family.
Wow.
He for his own biological family, the family he created with grandma. I mean, they basically, to me, he was like everything. They had the perfect union as far as what I had ever seen comparatively to my parents and other people's parents. They just flowed. They connected with each other in a way where they quelled all fears that they had from other relationships they had before, and it was them against the world. And so they fit like perfect pegs together. They raised kids, they put them all through college, they bought homes, they helped family members start businesses. He was that person that everybody could depend on, and especially her. And it was a balance. My grandma was more of the rough one. She was the one that was like, don't take no mess, up until the point she'll pull a gat out on you. So that's where my ratchet side come from. That's where my ratchet come from grandma. But he was just like, his presence just was like, I got you.
Wow.
And she always knew that. Everybody always knew that. My parents weren't together because they were teen kids having me. But their families knew each other and we stayed in contact with them. So I would see them every summer, every vacation time from school, like Christmas holiday. I would spend half the Christmas holiday with them. And those little small times were so paramount to me of what a man should or could be for his mate.
Wow.
When I got home, my stepdad he did the best he could. My mama did the best she could. I have a fabulous mother. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. But as far as having a unit, these people had a unit. You're talking about the Delta of Mississippi at a time, when they got together up until the point where we kids were coming along in 70s, 80s, and 90s, they beat a lot of obstacles that we could never imagine fighting. And they did it together. It wasn't perfect in the beginning from what I've heard, but what I saw by the time I was around, it was picture perfect. So he's my hero. That's my king of my, Wakanda, and always will be. All right, man. Grandpa.
That's powerful. So that's the vision that you see for yourself. So question, what do you think you would have to do to implement in your own life to become closer to him like that?
What I'm doing now is taking out time just for me and fixing me, as opposed to um, I spent most of the first part of my youth fantasizing. As artists, we live in our left brain, and we live in emotion a lot, and we live in fantasy
Right.
a lot. And so I fantasized what relationships were, and I just kept putting myself in relationships with other people who weren't looking for what I was looking for. You have to have a meeting of the mind. You have to. I mean, a lot of people take chances, and I tip my hat off to everybody who can get into a marriage and stay into it, especially if you don't really know the other person and you actually grow organically within that relationship. But for me, I I thought I was doing everything right, but there I think the biggest thing for me is that I was choosing the wrong mate. It wasn't necessarily they're so wrong, they're so bad. When I look back, hindsight is 2020. I found that the girls that I chased in high school, um, you know, they were attractive to me, but there was something about me that wasn't attractive to them. That doesn't mean that they were wrong clearly because they maybe not found me attractive, but I was a little bit of I was a cool nerd. I was cool with most people, some people, not most people. But at the same time, they wanted the jocks. Well, I'm the little singing, dancing boy, who always performing and writing for my English teacher some poem or some short story that she would tell me to come up to the head of class and read. Well, I'm chasing girls who were looking like how our sisters can be.
Yeah, looking like Janet at 13,
You feel?
15.
And they was trying to get with my homeboy who was better looking than me and was more athletic than me,
Right.
and stuff like that. So then when I got in my 20s and I was like, I want to do like grandma and grandpa, I want to get married. It was like I didn't know other than them. I didn't know nothing about what real marriage was. I did know how to relate to people and how to distance myself from people who I don't relate to. But when you're in a marriage, that don't work. You can't. I'm the type, I get an attitude, I'm pissed off, you done me wrong. Bye. When you're married to someone, that doesn't work. You still share the marital bed, you still gotta eat dinner together, unless she makes you go down in the den or something like that. That was something that I found that I kept getting in and out of relationships very quickly because I didn't know myself well enough to be connected with someone, and the people who I was letting come into my life weren't they didn't want what granddaddy wanted for grandma. They wanted something totally different. I had a young lady who wanted to be in a polyamorous relationship. I fast forward 15 years later, I didn't have a problem with it then. My problem was like that ain't for me. You do whatever the hell you want to do. That ain't what we gonna do.
Right.
What's mine is mine, and what's theirs is not mine. So I'm not sharing you with another man. And she asked me that, so everything else we were cool, and she could not let that go. That was a part of her personality, like so many different parts of the alphabet crew is like I call it. Not no offense, LGBTQ. She really that was something she needed in her life, and I didn't understand. I understood it, but I didn't understand it. I definitely didn't accept it. And she told me early on, but she tried to play me too. Like, hey, well, maybe we can make this work out, And then she still was seeing these other guys, and I was like, first of all, this isn't safe. This isn't from a physical perspective, spiritual perspective. I believe in when you're sharing your body with other people, it's a spiritual component in that. So a lot of things like that, I didn't know myself. The next girl I dated, she was. She wanted to be in a relationship, but she had a lot of emotional and somewhat mental issues. And so I was like, well, I'm going to be everything for her. I'm going to, like he was saying, I did cook. I can cook. My grandfather was a professional chef. So I do have that skill set to cook and whatnot. But
it was this breakup to makeup thing. She 1 minute didn't know what she wanted and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I want to get married before I turn 25. I already know. I want to have all my kids by 30, you know, blah, blah, blah. I had the plan, but I kept connecting myself with somebody else that didn't have the same schedule, projection, whatever you want to call it. So,
Right. That's good. Which is really ties back to, as we start wrapping things up, is having a vision. And I think a lot of times we have stuff floating around in our head, very vague, very kind of superficial, but just this conversation, as I'm hearing each of you gentlemen, you know, talk about what y'all see, best case scenario, you know, I feel like for me, it's giving me bits and pieces that I can kind of grab on to really and truly articulate and be able to say, I want boom, 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 boom. And I think that when we can say that, that'll help attract the right person. You know what I'm saying? To be able to say exactly what you want. And I think a lot of times we don't have a clear vision. And, you know, we don't even have a clear vision of what we look like. We just know I want to be something all out there in the distance, but I'm not sure what it is.
you know what? I have to add something real quick. And sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
I have one of my closest friends. This is my brother in spirit. He's having a very troubled marriage, and one thing I told him was, we're not taught to be in relationships besides through superficial ways. In my opinion, you know, marriage is a large component of all society, most society, if not all. Ones that are like the Americas and all these different superpowers, to the ones that are almost archaic still. But there are things that I think we are experiencing where people are getting married for all the wrong reasons, even when it feels good and everybody tells you, oh, that's admirable, you should want to be married. But I think they're not teaching us in school, just like with a lot of our minorities, they're not teaching us how to take care of our finances and how to build credit and keep it good. We're also not being taught how to be in a fruitful relationship. That's something that's a skill set that we need to start doing with, either, especially in our community, amongst ourselves, and it needs to be something institutionalized almost. Like I told him, I was like, you guys got married because she thicker than a snicker, and you know, she thought you was a good provider. Well, but y'all got a whole bunch of other problems that y'all telling me about that made you guys not a good couple. And so if you don't have anybody to show you, and all you doing is dreaming, I want to be like Grandpa, I want to be like Ozzie Davis and all these people, but we don't have any real way to make sure our minds and our bodies and spirits can accomplish that, then we're going to have all these divorces that are unnecessary because we shouldn't have the marriages in the first place. But I'm sorry, it just made me trigger something.
No. That's good. That's good. Anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, just good point. You know, just kind of just doing the work and, you know, making sure that the level of compatibility, you know, is there, and kind of just having a vision, you know, ahead of time, so that way there's that compatibility level, you know, ahead of time, as opposed to trying to, you know, make it become compatible. So yeah, good point.
Yeah. Make it become compatible.
I was just going to add that you're absolutely right in what you're doing, brother. You know, we have to do the pre-work. Two broken vessels, they can be the exact same vessel. Okay, I mean, identical, made by the same person, and you break them both, and you cannot intermingle those pieces and make one whole vessel.
True.
They have to be mended individually. And I think that for us, especially as African American men, African roots, period, in this country, we have been taught everything about us, and everything about us has been negative. Okay. like you were saying, we haven't been taught about a healthy relationship, what it is. It is truly spiritual based first. And we have been, again, I got to go back to that word from a couple of weeks ago, objectified. We have all been objectified as men and women. Mm-hmm. And so we can't help but look through conditioning at each other as objects, right? Instead of that inner man and that inner woman. So doing that spiritual work ahead of time is what is going to create that relationship that's unbreakable.
Woo-wee. That's good. All right. So final question on that point. What do you look like? Best version spiritually. Best version. Let's go with Vladimir. Best version. What do you look like? What do you see spiritually?
Best version is just, trust, trust in, the process, and just trust in that whatever it is that, God has put you through or is putting you through is for a reason. It's literally to just position you for, something, greater. Sometimes when we're going through things, you're like, you know what, man, why me? Why this? Why that? But I have found in my life that it's just a positioning. So kind of just remembering that. And sometimes when we go through things later down the line, we're like, okay, why me? Type of thing. Well, it's a positioning to align you for something, greater. So just trusting the process. And, that's it. That's it for me. Just trusting the process.
I like that. T.
Give me the exact question again. I'm sorry.
What do you look like in the best version of you spiritually? What does that look like?
Tirelessly running after God. Making sure that I'm consulting him in every aspect of my life, in every aspect of any future relationship, because I've already lived without doing that, and I already know what the results are.
Wow.
So I know in order for me to be able to really truly have what he has for me and be prepared to have what he has for me, I've got to be seeking him that diligently.
Wow.
And then I can be to my mate, because this is a really big thing for me. I can be to my mate, that titanium and Kevlar box that holds her heart. Wow.
Come on, flow it, man. That was poetic justice, brother. Did you write that down, man? You write that down. So when you find her, you can say, baby, I want to be the titanium Kevlar that protects your heart and encases you in the love.
That's it. That's it. That's
right, Superman.
All right. And last but not least, what you got for us, Kyle? What do you look like? Best version spiritually.
I think he pretty much said it, but if I can just sum it up in my own words, it's just total, daily, all the time, total submission to God. I'm not going to ever be perfect. I'm not going to ever try to be perfect again, because I have tried. So being in total submission to my God has been the best thing that I have ever done. It's the most important thing I do on a daily basis, not just Sunday. Every 7 days of the week, I'm in total submission to him and his will, and looking for direction on how I can just live and also become better, and also at the same time accept the fact that I'm going to always fall short of that perfection. And that's why I need him. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know I need him daily. I need him all day. And so just basically, as I continue to do this work, like you asked in the other question on myself, I'm allowing him to do the work that he needs to do without saying, well, God, don't do this. It's like, no, God, that don't feel good. Let me learn.
Wow.
Let me learn from it. If it hurt, don't let it kill me. let me learn. So that's it.
Man, wow, that's good. That's good. I'm glad I got this recording because I'm about to go back and be like, all right, let me eat a little bit more. Let me eat a bit more. Eat some more. Well, fellas, that is the time for tonight. I definitely appreciate you all sharing your perspectives and opening up to the world and letting them see the vision of a healed man. I want to ask this as in conclusion. Does anybody feel like they've gained some clarity on what they see concerning your future? Like, has it just by talking about it and articulating it, has something kind of shifted and brought you closer to maybe embrace? What would you say?
Most definitely. I mean, anytime you're able to sit and articulate your thoughts and be able to receive other people's thoughts and perspectives spiritually, all we're doing is observing different facets of God. Each one of us have a facet that he's given us. That's why we're supposed to come together and fellowship. You know what I'm saying? It's not always about the scripture, okay? Even though that is relevant, it's not always about the scripture. It's about the perspective of the relationship with God that we have to be able to get from other people. And so every one of y'all have given me definitely something, from, making sure that, I'm a willing host, Tim, making sure I'm a willing host to my brothers to hear them. Vladimir, making sure that I have a clear vision as far as a plan and what I want to see happen and executing that. And I'm sorry, tell me your name again, brother.
Kyle.
And as far as, being the humble and quiet but majestic was the word that you chose to use, man, that your grandfather was. So I gleaned something from everybody in this field today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is all the time that we had. Gentlemen, stick around for a few minutes. Just have do our after meeting remarks and review, and we gonna shut her down.